And then our last question comes from Oriel Jedi, who says, what is the worst injury you've had?
Okay. So if we're talking injury, I guess I need clarification.
Okay. Matt has lived his life in as much of a bubble as he possibly could have.
Do we mean, like, does something medical that happened that I didn't actually do to myself count as an injury? Like,
no,
it wasn't something
that is not an injury. No.
Okay. So good. I don't have to say that. Because it was gross. Yeah, I mean, I haven't ever broken a bone. I haven't ever gotten a huge laceration or anything. I've gotten stitches, but they're all from, like, surgeries where I had my gallbladder removed. So, really, I think the worst injury I've ever had was when I threw my back out like 5 years ago. It was so bad. So painful. But that's about it.
My friend.
Mm-hmm.
I have never broken any significant bones. I have broken both of my pinky toes, and I've broken 4 fingers. But that's it. No significant bones. That is something that has always been a fear of mine, to break a bone.
Right. Like break your arm, break your leg. My gosh, that's terrifying.
Break your leg.
Break your leg, break your arm, break your toe.
Okay. But I have, when I was a teenager, I was riding the 4-wheeler, and there's a rule in our house now with the 4-wheeler. You have to have somebody out there with you. You cannot be riding alone.
After Cannon.
No. He had somebody out there with him.
Oh.
He was riding with someone.
Oh.
Yeah. This is a rule that came from my childhood.
Oh.
Because I was riding my 4-wheeler and went out probably 2.5 miles away from where the house was in the field, was jumping big old sand dunes. I ended up cutting it a little too close to the edge of the sand dune. And so when it landed, it flipped. I flipped and it rolled on top of me. And the, what is it? The wheel, the thing that kind of goes over the wheel. It's called something. Anyway, that broke off, had a very jagged edge.
Yeah.
Cut through my pants, down my knee. I still have that scar there. But I got out from underneath the 4-wheeler, flipped it up on its side, on the right side, but it wouldn't start. And so I had to walk the 2.5 miles home. With this huge gash in the side of my leg, dripping blood. Yeah. So that is probably the most traumatic injury that I've ever had.
I guess the second.
Oh, I did get another one. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll tell one more story and you can share one more.
Okay.
The second biggest injury I've ever had was a concussion. And it happened in a junior high school at summer camp, Christian camp. And there was a game we all played when I was a teenager called Doorknob. And it's, if you burped, your friend could say doorknob or window or something like that. And until you touched said thing, until you touched said thing, they got to punch you.
Yeah.
And so we're out there at camp. We're like under like the rope bridge thing out there, where the obstacle course up in the sky. And it had just rained, so like all the roads and stuff were muddy. I burped, and my friend Dakota said window, and I'm like, I'm not gonna play that. I was doing the jerk move of, don't be so childish.
I'm too cool for that.
And so as soon as he was like fine, and he put his arm down, I took off towards his truck. But like I said, it had just been raining, and so as I'm like reaching out with my hand, my foot slips in the mud, and I fall and I touch the window, but like my top of my forehead down to the bridge of my nose smacks right into the back side panel of this truck, makes this giant dent. And apparently I stood up from that and then collapsed onto the ground very dramatically and was knocked out for about 30 seconds. I don't remember any of that part.
Clearly.
But then I came to, and they made me go to the hospital, and I had a concussion, and so I couldn't play any of the games the rest of the week, which was fine by me because I was fat and slow. Am perpetually fat and slow.
Shut up.
And so, yeah, those are the two big stories of me actually hurting myself.
So when I was about 6, I think this is the last memory that I have of my grandparents' house in Maryland before they moved to Tennessee. But it had been raining, and I have never, ever, 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 ever been a tennis shoes kind of person.
Yeah.
Never. I've always worn ballet flats, even when I was very little. I used to call them my ballet bow shoes. That's what they had, a little bow on them, and they looked like ballet flats. Anyway, but I was running as fast as I could to go into my grandparents' house. They had a long brick walkway that led up to 3 brick steps. Okay. And then just a tiny little patio to go into their front door. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm running down this brick walkway. I go to step up on the first step, and because it had been raining, it's slick. And ballet bow shoes have no grip. And so my foot slipped, and my chin met the edge of the brick step.
Oh.
So if you look,
Like the
look.
Yep.
You hear it?
Yeah.
I still have the scar on my chin where I busted my chin wide open.
Deidre has a very similar scar.
Yeah?
From when she face planted in the street while riding her bike. Like she went over the handlebars and
Yeah.
landed chin first.
Yeah. So I think
has a scar.
I think that may take the cake, actually. And it was like 9:00 at night, and I can remember sitting in my parents' car and them driving around trying to figure out where to take me if I needed to get stitches. And I'm just like holding this towel to my chin. I remember that. I don't think that they ever took me anywhere to get anything.
You know what? You're fine.
That's why I got such a bad scar at 31 years later.
Put some Elmer's glue on there. I'm gonna hold it.
I mean, that's what Chris would have done to our kids. He would have put super glue on it.
Super glue, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've done a few of those.
Yeah.
Super glue welds.
Yeah. I mean, that's what super glue was originally used for. It was
Right.
used as a military grade.
Medical aid.
Yep, thank you. Military grade medical aid. Super glue. We are here and available for all of your brand's needs.
Come on.